Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, the week of Kong continues. Earlier this week, we did a retrospective finally on DK64, and I defended the game's honor. You see, today is an important day for 3D Donkey Kong fans. We only got one of those games, and all of a sudden the internet decided in the late 2000s, like, oh, guess what? You know what? This actually isn't as good as you think it is. So you even took that away from us. But Nintendo didn't forget. Nintendo remembered that 3D Donkey Kong is king, and so what did they do? They made Donkey Kong Bonanza. And ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is the first game I've put in my Switch physically since the launch, where Last Defense Academy has been living in there the whole time. So I was excited to just go out and pick up a brand new physical copy for my Nintendo Switch 2. But yeah, when I previewed this game at the Switch 2 event, I just knew it was going to be awesome. But admittedly, this was a rare moment for me. Maddie was excited for a 3D platformer. No doubt nostalgia fueled, because I remember when it was just a rumor, 3D Donkey Kong game, Mario Odyssey team. I went, that is a match made in heaven, specifically for me who grew up on DK64 and adored that game. Its atmosphere, its music, its platforming, all the playable characters and unlockables, just adored that game growing up. So DK Bonanza, haven't finished it yet, but been playing it a ton lately. Just wanted to give some early thoughts now that I've gotten to go hands-on beyond what I played for like 20 minutes at a Switch 2 event, and it's living up to the hype, man. Just having an absolute blast with it. So we're going to break it all down here, but ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here and you're into nostalgic, retrospective content, or occasionally reviews that really synchronize well with that type of content, consider subscribing. So I think the first thing I really want to compliment are the controls. It just immediately feels intuitive. Like X is to punch above your head, and that's the top button on all of the face buttons, or just general punching is Y, and that's to the left, and it just feels like they really thought of the controls. B is to punch downwards, and that's the bottom of the face button. I say this because at first, I stumbled a little bit when I started to mix and match these controls in some of the trials I'll talk about. Like, I would have to slide and then jump and then grab something, and it's a lot of trigger pulls and aiming and whatnot, and I just was slow in the uptake, so just having very intuitive controls allowed me to get comfortable a lot quicker when I started to think about the positioning and how it was coordinated with Donkey Kong's movement. So it just really does control well. It feels great. I mean, this should be no surprise. I'm not the biggest 3D platformer fan. I think many of you already know that, but Mario Odyssey is a game that I feel I didn't appreciate as much when it first came around. And it was only by the end of the Switch 1 generation that I started to really show it some love, strictly because Mario Odyssey to me was a game that just stuck with me. I kept thinking of the music, the platforming, all the collectibles, the atmosphere. Yeah, that matters. Bubble Lane, hello. Like, one of the best songs ever in a Mario game was just right there chilling, so cozy. Just really ended up loving that game long term more than I had realized. So with DK Bonanza, you got the nostalgia. I know what the Mario Odyssey team is capable of. So what are they doing here? Well, in a lot of ways, just selling it to you as, hey, it's Donkey Kong, but Mario Odyssey, I think is actually pretty fair. You have these big open zones, a lot of collectibles within them. They're definitely much bigger than what you'd get in something like Mario Odyssey, but it is that game, except they managed to do something pretty incredible. You get to break through basically every bit of terrain in this game. There's two experiences I'm going to connect this to. The first one is one I've said for a while. Red Faction Guerilla. I remember playing this game in high school, and the destructibility in that game has yet to be replicated, in my opinion, where you just saw through your environments, and that's the whole objective of the game. But DK Bonanza is really the first time we've gotten something quite like that. However, unlike Red Faction Guerilla, DK Bonanza has many coins and gold just being vomited out of everything that you break, to the point where if you're like me and there's that inner itch in you where you're like, you got to get every bit of gold, I'm telling you right now, this is a warning. This game will drive you insane. You know how like Power Wash Simulator drives you insane? That one little speck of dirt that you got to get? That's me with the gold here. And if I were to connect it to another experience, it is the pre-True Jedi Lego Star Wars experience. You know when you're just chasing every stud in every level until you see that True Jedi meter hit and change, and you know you got your red brick secure. That is literally Donkey Kong Bonanza, but it's endless. As such, I have paced myself very differently for this game because I do just know myself well, and I get really into it, and I'm trying to collect everything, do everything. And that means like literally every piece of gold. If I just keep digging and seeing more gold, I'm just going to continue to pound through the rock until I see no more gold. That's who I am. It drives me insane, yet it's so satisfying just hearing you crunch through the environment. Oh, I found a banana down here. Great, cool, awesome. But again, it drives me insane. It's like, for me in Lego Star Wars, when I get all of those studs and I hit True Jedi, I chill. I'm like, okay, cool. I got what I needed, and now I can just coast through the level. There is no real release of that emotion for me with DK Bonanza. I'm just always sawing through the environment. So I could see this game taking me much longer than the average player just because of how I have been since I was a kid. You know, I'm trying to release and let go and leave a little bit of gold behind. Like the first real gold rush that you find in the mines to open up the game, I was in there for like 15 minutes just pounding through the environment. This is why Minecraft was bad for me. I just love to cut through the environment. Oh, diamond. Oh, iron. Okay, cool. That's so, yeah, this is just a warning to people like me who have that urge inside them to just get everything. This game will eat you for lunch and then spit you out. But that's why it's awesome. So as you're going through all these open areas, you're going to be looking for golden bananas. Some will be open and in an available area to collect. There are kind of like pseudo missions that you'll be able to do as you're running through the game. Like some of them, main story, of course, like, you know, taking you from zone to zone, because basically what's happening is there's this void company run by a bunch of Kongs, and they're basically ruining the layers of the planet. And so you're going to go deeper and deeper to the planet's core, and each layer of the planet looks a little bit different. So yeah, that's why you're like pounding through the earth, because you're literally working your way constantly deeper to the center of the planet you're on. But meanwhile, Pauline, she wants to get to the surface. So it's kind of, I have to say, the story is interesting on a certain level, just because you know this is like a prequel story, and you know who Pauline is in Mario Odyssey. So I'm just so interested to see how it all ends and how it leads to a game that we all know and love, and Pauline as an iconic Mario character nowadays, established with the first Switch. So yeah, in these environments, you're going to be looking for bananas. If I had one early critique, it's kind of the visuals, not like texture quality or draw distance or anything like that. I don't know if it's the HDR. This game is colorful, and color is almost always good, but it's the way all these colors blend together and what it's painted on, where I feel like every environment I've seen so far just looks really weird, and good art, especially art that wants to pull your eyes in certain directions. It's designed to basically like distract you in a healthy way. Like, oh, I see a banana there. And while I am absolutely no artist, basically you kind of want the color scheme to work well together in a game where you're looking for, say, specific colors like a yellow, but when you're looking through like a neon purple and a very much aqua blue and like a very bright dense green and a gray, and then in all that is a yellow. I know it sounds very much a nitpick, but it's just something that in these early hours I have not really been able to shake off. And again, I do wonder if it's like HDR, but I tried this in handheld. I tried this on docking it. I turned off the HDR. I'm like, no, this is something about the visual, the color palette has really distracted my eye in the wrong ways. So that is just one thing I also wanted to make sure was out there. It's that Maddie level visual critique that's kind of there with like Octopath Traveler 2, where I critiqued how they used the terrain tool. Probably of no difference to you, but for like the 5 people out there where it does matter, I feel it's a worthwhile detail to share. As you're going around these open areas, though, like I already mentioned, you're going to go for those bananas, but you're also going to go through these trials. This is like my favorite part of the game. Very, you know, Astrobot coded, if you want to use a recent example, where you're going to jump into these challenges, and they're going to be like 3D platforming challenges, or given that Donkey Kong Bonanza has like multiple forms, like the Bananza form where you just see DK's whole ass is out. Like, I don't know why they just shaved the entire buttocks and then everything else is nice and hairy. I don't know what you're cooking there, Nintendo. God damn! But nonetheless, we're just going to ignore that. You have that form there. And so all these different tools are utilized across all these different challenges. Some just very basic, like punch in these environments. Some combat challenges. Some of them involve, hey, you're going to like surf down a bunch of spikes and you want to go as fast as you can, and it's going to be a time trial. It kind of reminded me of my favorite 3D platformer of all time, Battle for Bikini Bottom, where you had to like sandboard as quickly as possible all the way to the bottom to get the golden spatula. But it is that Nintendo platformer formula pretty much mastered here. Like, you're just never in one spot for too long. There's always something distracting you, probably every 5 seconds, whether it's a gold nugget that is like just forcing me to dig deeper and deeper, or it's finding a chest, or it's finding, you know, all these banana medallions, or it's finding trials, like whatever it is, there's just something somewhere distracting you. Overall, as you're collecting all these currencies, you can spend them on different things. For example, there's a style shop, and one of the surprises in this game is that the style shop gives you clothing, and I thought it'd just be cosmetic, but they actually give you buffs, like your swimming speed will go up, these sorts of things, and it changes how DK looks. You can change his fur color, you can change his outfit, his accessories. You can do the same for Pauline. And so, yeah, you'll work together with Pauline because she can sing, and so she'll break like these basically void barriers that are all around the level and allow you to dive into certain challenges or open up certain areas. So you're both kind of progressing together. But yeah, you'll buy these outfits that do upgrade what you're able to do. Speaking of upgrades, there is a skill tree in this game. This is another thing that I saw and went, wait, what? But yeah, as you're collecting all these golden bananas, you're gonna get skill points every 5 golden bananas, and you can upgrade things like your health or your terrain strength is what it's called, so how many punches it takes to get through certain levels of terrain, because as you go deeper into the Earth's core, that rock's gonna get harder and you're gonna need to punch through more. So you're gonna actually want to spend some time looking for these additional collectibles. There's other ones that unlock secret moves. For example, this game doesn't have, at least immediately, a basic double jump, but what you can get in the form of double jump is pulling terrain out of the ground, and with one of your skill upgrades you can jump and then throw this thing beneath you and it leaps you up again. I do wish there was like a default double jump, but I do think it's interesting that this is in a skill tree here, and so you're gradually expanding your moveset in meaningful ways, because this game, given how moldable the terrain is to all of your actions, just really gives you a lot of creative freedom in how you want to explore the level. Like DK can climb any sort of wall, a little bit of Hulk ultimate destruction energy in that way, where just Hulk could go up any wall, blow through like any vehicle. It just felt really good, really empowering. You got a little bit of that here. It does have good guidance tools as well, so when you're roaming these bigger levels, all you have to do is hold like the left trigger and it'll tell you, hey, where's your objective, where you're going, and it does sort of do that guiding wind thing that Ghost of Tsushima does, except instead it's a little bit of like these musical notes that flow from DK and just give you a general sense of direction. At first I was a little bit like, oh, why do we need this in a 3D platformer? Aren't these supposed to be simple, tight levels? But when you get into some bigger areas, you'll find this really useful, so you don't really lose your sense of surroundings as you're going from like trial to trial and just continuously getting distracted. It is very Mario Odyssey in that way, where you'll see all these different coins and different collectibles that you'll just be compelled to get over and over. Will I 100% it? I doubt it. I don't know if I've ever... I did 100% Battle for Bikini Bottom as a kid. That's probably the only one I can really think of, but this is a damn good one. Absolutely worth the hype, totally living up to those review scores out there, and a worthy successor from a team that delivered an all-timer in Mario Odyssey. And you can just feel that creativity, again, with those multiple forms DK has, like the Bananza form, or being able to fly around, adds so much versatility and layers to what you can do, incentivizing you to also go back, explore these prior environments. It's just so moldable, so destructible, as I'm sure you've already heard multiple times, where it just is a fun romp for those who have waited a long while for 3D Donkey Kong to return. Is it better than my beloved DK64 though? That's, you know, tough to say. I got so much nostalgia for that game. I think it's actually going to come down to the soundscape. That is something I am judging this game hard on. There have been some pretty good tracks so far, mostly the trial tracks, but it's been a lot of, you know, banging the bongos, classic DK music, and I'm looking for that real rare atmosphere that we got in DK64. I think that's tremendously underrated. I want to hear Snide doing his, you know what I'm talking about. I want a little bit of that here in DK Bonanza. So we'll see, but right now the game's got a sense of goofiness. It's definitely got a strong personality. And what really makes me happy, if I could get sentimental for a second here to round things out, is simply this. It's awesome that there are going to be kids where this is their first experience with Donkey Kong. You know, like, I just think about how my first experience with Donkey Kong was DK64, and that stuck with me, as you saw in the video earlier this week, for the rest of my life. Like 25 years later, I got to sit down and talk about that game and reflect with all of you. That was cool. It's awesome to think that someone's Donkey Kong journey is beginning with the right way, might I add. I kid, DK Country fans. I love you too. But I do think it's awesome that a lot of people are beginning their DK adventure on Switch 2 with Bananza, a 3D Donkey Kong game. But don't worry, we still got, Tropical Freeze available on modern platforms. But nonetheless, I've been having a blast with this game, just going through, destroying the environment, collecting like a madman, taking a break, taking a breath, going back after it. Yeah, it's just an awesome time. Highly recommend you check it out. I feel like a lot of us already knew this is going to be pretty good stuff, but I just can't wait to go deeper and deeper to the earth and learn more about what's going on with Pauline's backstory. Can't believe I said that about a Nintendo game, but here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on DK Bonanza down below, and I'll catch you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.